two. The first is just like tempo resets. Like I think, and because then I also rewatched our video, and I've been like paying attention in my games.
Yeah.
I do have a tendency to stay on the map probably too long, and I've been trying out like resetting more often for like what you call tempo, and that has a really, I think that's been good. It like I've noticed like an increase in my CS, and I've noticed just being able to be on the map at crucial times more often, even if it means like not getting that item that I wanted because it was like 300 away or whatever. So that's been good, and I've been like working on that primarily. And then the second thing I've been working on is trying to pan my camera more. Like I basically just like look at the mini map and try to use the mini map to figure out what's going on in lanes and like the mini map and champion health. But I've actually been panning over to go actually see what's happening.
That's really good.
Although that like still not good at that. Like I need to force myself to do it.
But that'll come through like practice. It'll become so automatic, and once you get used to that, then we can start implementing F keys. It's called, and those are the F1, 2, 3, and 4 keys on the keyboard, where you can really start to like quickly pan back and forth.
I mean, so I've been trying to, at least when I'm walking from one camp to another, like I'm just not to the point where when I'm clearing a camp, I can like go in between autos and go look, because I don't even know, like I can like, I can go there for a second, but I'm not used to seeing a snapshot and being like, okay, what's happening here? But if I can stay there for like 3 seconds while I'm walking in between, I can kind of understand what's happening.
No, you bring up a really good point, and I think that's something that as coaches, we don't identify well enough a lot of the time. I've been playing for so long. You only need to show me a lane for like half a second and I'll know exactly where it's going to go. Where if you asked me to do that, 5-6 years ago, I would need to look at it for multiple seconds before I even understand which direction the wave's even pushing. So you hit it perfectly there, where the more experience you have looking and planning between these things, you're going to begin to get quicker at reading the the lane states of bot, top, and mid.
So I've been working on those two things primarily, and I've also been playing while sick. Like I recognize that my mental it's not near, although I will say, when I got COVID last year and I had like a week off work and I played and I dropped like 2.5 divisions, right? I dropped from like gold 1 down to gold 4, something crazy like that. So this time it hasn't been that as bad, but I still like I'm not as fast. So I've been kind of playing through that a little bit. But it's just been pretty average. But those are the couple things that I've been working on.
Okay, cool. Let's jump into it and then see that. Which game would you like to review?
I don't know. I to be honest, I don't even remember which.
There's a Head But Lost, and your Zach versus Nocturne, and then there's Lost Game 2. Who are you against in this one? A Graves matchup and a Fiddlesticks matchup.
Why don't we do Lost 1?
Lost 1, the Fiddlesticks matchup?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can't remember exactly.
Can you see my screen? I'm just going to share it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. So, all right. So hold up. So here, I mean, also another thing that I think I need to work on is just looking at this and coming up with a narrative for the game.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that. So it's so funny that you just mentioned it first. What do you think?
So, all right. So here, what I would think is I probably want to try to influence mid as quickly as I can, just because it's like Zed Ignite versus Talon Ignite, and they're probably going to be trading, and like the quickest I can get to mid, the better. Basically, leave top alone, and focus on mid, and then maybe bot depending on wave state and stuff. That's what I would think here.
Okay. I think you're right to a certain degree, but one thing that we need to think about is mid in this case will most likely be the hardest lane to gank. And the reason why is the two things that you want to look at before as you're like entering a game like this is uh, well, first off, like which side is the strong side and weak side, and you identified that correctly. These two, like we don't really care so much, you know. They're a bit of a weak side champion where they can get ahead and they can have an impact on the game, but having these sort of champions ahead, is much more beneficial in terms of working towards building a lead. So we're very happy leaving Yorick and Cho'Gath on an island, and that's what we like to call the weak side, meaning they don't
Hmm.
get as many resources, and we put our resources towards the strong side, which is mid and bot in this case. However, mid is probably the hardest lane to gank out of all these matchups, mainly because his W makes it basically impossible for you to land your knockup. All he
Yeah.
has to do is shadow away, and as long as he's holding that, then you can't gank mid. It'll just be a waste of your time, honestly. Like no matter how hard you try, if Zed is holding W and he sees a giant Zac flying towards him, like I'm pretty sure Gold Zed can get away from that every
Yeah.
time. Like it's really not that mechanically demanding. So, and on top of that, the next thing that you need to think about is who has gank setup, right? Gank setup, you have gank setup here with Cho'Gath. You have gank setup at like level 6 with Orianna. But you don't have gank setup anywhere else, and gank setup is basically someone that can go in before you to like slow them or stun them or have something to make your life easier in terms of the gank's success rate. And
Right.
you really don't have any tools with Talon to help him get on Zed before
Right.
you. So
Right.
that gank is going to be really hard unless if you see Zed use his W aggressively first. And that's something Talon can in youth can do. Like Talon can walk up, take a bad trade with Zed, where he loses like 60-40, but now Zed has no W and he's susceptible to ganks. Um, so when we look at that, top is actually the easiest to gank because Cho'Gath has a massive knockup and Yorick is a very slow champion. So
Right.
that would be easy, and you probably have some opportunities bot lane if they're pushed up. But ideally, like you said, we want to be focusing our energy and resources into the mid bot matchup just because of how these champions are, and just it would increase your odds of winning the game if they get ahead rather than having a Cho'Gath ahead. So this is a pretty sticky and tricky situation to be in when as a Zac or as a jungler. So after
Right.
me saying all those things, what do you think would be kind of a different uh, kind of approach to playing the
Um,
game? Yeah.
okay. So after that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe like try to um, I don't know, try to like roam with Talon and take objectives and like I don't know.
Yeah, you're actually like kind of onto the right point. So if I was you in this game, because every sort of lane is relatively hard to gank and you don't have like a clear path into, oh, I can just go bot side and bot is a free gank every time. It
Right.
really doesn't feel like that this game. Neither does it mid. And you could go top, but we said we don't really want to go top, and I agree with that. So in situations like this, you start to look at the mid jungle 2v2 matchups rather than just the lanes isolated, right? So if we take Zed and Fiddle, right, versus Talon and Zac, I will take Talon and Zac to win that 2v2 every single time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. For sure.
especially before level 6. Like Fiddlesticks is not contributing very much before level 6 unless if he gets like a really like nice fear off and cancels Talon's jump or something like that. But that's like the odds of that are very slim. You guys hard win this 2v2. So what I would be doing in this game is you're kind of onto the right start. I would first understand which way Fiddlesticks is going and have a really, really big emphasis on tracking the Fiddlesticks this game. Because I
Right.
think in this game, your goal should be more about putting their jungler behind and putting yourself ahead and using your teammates to do so rather than you helping your
Right.
teammates in their lane,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Because you can't
Right.
really go in and help Zed, but what Talon can do is you can help Talon push out the lane, and then you two can move into Fiddlestick's jungle and like kill him or something like that,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Or
Right.
same with bot lane, like you get priority bot lane with Orianna and Ezreal, and then they come and help you do something with Fiddlesticks. And if you can identify these sort of win conditions rather than having it always be, oh, I need to gank a lane and win through that method, I think that'll help out quite a bit.
Right. That makes sense. Okay.
Do you not build a refillable or control word or anything?
I never do.
Oh,
I
interesting.
just get the gold, save the gold to buy something.
What do you
I
think
mean,
about a control word? Level 1.
I just like I feel like the gold is more valuable.
Okay. Is it
I
going to
don't
be for
like I
rank
have
or start?
experimented. I used to get a control. First I got refillable, then I got control word,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the last probably like 200 games I've just gone this, and
Okay.
I like it better.
I see, I see. Because I feel like on Zac, having a control word to make sure that a certain area isn't warded so you can go for like creative gank angles might be pretty powerful too. But I guess you also have your
Yeah,
sweeper for that.
yeah. I have my sweeper, and it's not like I'm like doing a ton of ganks
Mm-hmm.
before I can like go back
Okay.
the first time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really seen too many people do that, so I don't have like too big a comment on it, but I think if it's working for you, then
You know, I
it
saw
should be
it.
fine.
I was watching this like Korean challenger Zach, and he did it, and I was like, oh, and I
Yeah.
tried it out, and I just liked it.
Yeah, Zac's one of the few champions that can really get away with something like that. Most champions do need that potion to get through their jungle clear, but Zac's clear's so healthy and he has no mana, so
So healthy.
yeah. Why are you pathing top this game, by the way? What made you want
Um,
to start blue buff?
I wanted to. Uh, I can't remember. I mean, like thinking about it now. I just didn't think going bot was a good use of time.
hmm
And I thought that there might be something top at the end of a first clear. But I think like here, basically, I'm like trying to either go for scuttle or just full clear and back.
Okay. Yeah, because the issue with starting blue here is, although I agree, like on the first rotation of your camps, there's probably not going to be a look bottom, but there could be a look top. What you're going to run into after this is you're going to consistently be clearing towards the top side, and then you're going to find yourself like at the end of your clear being up here rather than on the bot
Right.
side, so then there's probably going to be less opportunities for any sort of dragon play. And on top of that, you're most likely going to be leaving your bot lane hanging from any sort of fiddlesticks play that's happening down there. And I think
Yeah.
in this game, a big reason why I wanted to put emphasis on tracking Fiddlesticks is if you can counter gank Fiddlesticks, you're going to win that matchup every single time as well. So if Fiddlesticks goes
Right.
for a gank and you're like second to the play and you're there to counter it, then that's very winning for your team, even though it's not necessarily you forcing the play. So what I'm interested to see here is after you're clearing your camps, if we're going to find some sort of like tricky situations where you're stuck on the top side and your bot side could really use your presence a lot
Yeah.
more.
I think that does happen.
Yeah. Because I think as long as you're clearing upwards, you're gonna most likely end up continuing clearing upwards most of the time. There's
Right.
very
Right.
few situations where you're able to just stall long enough for all your camps to come up and then you're able to like successfully start clearing towards bot side again. Although it does happen, it's not as common. So you tend to lose a lot of time when you do this. So just think
Right.
about like the grand picture rather than just the initial like I need to get a gank off on the first rotation.
Yeah.
Because you don't. Oh, it doesn't need to be like that. Yeah. You don't need to
Yeah.
think like you need to do
Yep.
something ASAP. Yeah.
Yep.
Because here, I don't. Did we have information of where Fiddlestick started actually? Because we had that warden originally, right? But does it just expire? Yeah, so he must start red.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you're in a situation where it's not too bad just because Fiddlesticks is
You're
also
matching
pathing
him.
forward.
Yeah.
But in a different world where Fiddlesticks is doing the correct play, in my opinion, I think he's making a mistake by pathing top. If he's correctly pathing bottom, then for the most of the remainder of the game, you're gonna be like up this way while he's like down this way, and now your bot lane's like really sad
Right.
because they're getting like
Right.
fiddlesticks ulted, and you're like stuck with Cho'Gath and Yorick doing Herald or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. That's really good.
hmm
Yeah. I mean, usually my path. You know, it's so true. Usually my pathing decisions that I have are first clear based.
Yeah. And I think in a game like this, it can't be because there's just not that many options on the first clear, you know? And some games it might be, maybe some games you have like a, I don't know, what's like a good example? Like a Darius top or something into, uh, like Aatrox. Like a really volatile matchup where Darius can like pull in to initiate the gank, you know? And whoever gets fed in that matchup just will end up winning the game. That's the time of the games where I like pathing into topside because you know you can have a strong presence up there, and then it's going to impact the game substantially on whoever gets ahead. But whoever gets ahead between the Cho'Gath and Yorick matchup, like we don't really care all that much because they serve a similar purpose where they're just going to be sitting on side wave clearing and be a tank in the team fights. So um, this type of game, we definitely want to be aiming our focus towards mid bot centric. And even in a situation like this, like although this game, Talon, see how he has like priority here as you're entering this, right? Like he's like very pushed up in lane, and Zed can't really respond. Like if we look here, um, this to me tells me that there could be a potential play for you and Talon to go move on Fiddlesticks on his blue, even.
Right.
Like we talked about at the very beginning of the game. Like if Talon is able to successfully get this wave in, and maybe that requires you to hover him here, just so that Zed doesn't like all in on him. If you're able to get this wave in, or like go in on him if Zed decides to fight, then you and Talon together can move into Fiddlesticks jungle and either kill him or like take his blue and grump. Because Fiddlesticks can't do anything against that. It's just the type of champion he is.
Yeah.
So think about these kind of plays too, because you're like looking, right? You're panning, and I really love that you're panning now, because before you weren't. It's like already I can tell that you're starting to ingrain these habits.
Yeah.
We just need to be thinking about all the options that can come with licking, right? In this type of situation, if you have priority and all lanes are hard to gank, then use your mid laner as a tool to get both of you ahead and their jungler behind.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense.
But I think it's also fine if you full clear and you don't want to go for that play. It's the more consistent to just do the full clear. But just as long as you keep it in mind as a potential play together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I guess this is kind of a weird game. I mean, usually I'm just thinking bot. I mean, I've just I probably overplay bot. It just seems.
Probably
Um,
not. I think that's just the meta is it's extremely
yeah.
carry centric at the moment, and
Yeah.
just getting your bot lane ahead seems like the best way to be winning games. Even as a mid
Yeah.
laner, I sack my resources to go roam bottom and get them ahead now.
Yeah.
It's just the more optimal way to be playing. So, pink ward. Kind of gave you a nice cue there. Were you able to get the cue on the? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh shit. Hold up. Right. I was watching it on my own screen. I was like 2 minutes ahead.
Oh, no worries. Okay, this is like one of those things again where very similar to the last time. Like if we get this gank off, great, but then we already have our camps up here.
Yeah,
So
you
this
would
is
have just backed.
yeah, I would have like had already backed and be done this camp and like moving towards this one as it spawns kind of thing.
I know.
Yeah.
You know. So here, I was thinking to just help him push the wave in as well.
Yeah, the wave
Which is
is too
why.
big though for Yorick to stop it.
Right. So you're
Yeah.
saying it would have just pushed in anyway.
Yeah, like the only way for Yorick to like stop this from crashing is by like holding it with his HP, right? And if he stands here and like wants to tank all these minions plus Shogat hitting him, like he's just gonna
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. It's too much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think it
Yeah.
would make sense if it was a smaller wave maybe, but
Yeah. I was in two minds about this, but I see here
mhm.
why I should have backed.
You're able to get the wave in. You do a recall on a really nice item, the boots and
Bits and
that's
Bebemis,
really,
yeah.
really good at this point in the game already. Oh, nice. That's actually very, very good for your team. I don't know if you realize just how good it is.
Yeah.
Because
No, it's huge.
here, like, they're holding the freeze, which means they're just going to continue to miss all these waves from now on until they get back.
Yeah, and
So
she flashed for no reason.
Really huge, yeah. Yeah, she kind of panic flashed there. She could have SD'd, but just sprint back to camps here. Yeah, nice. But like, see how long it took. Like, remember you like started with blue buff, right? Like that's how
Yep.
the game started. Like,
Right. You're saying my second rotation's too slow?
Yeah, it's like every single camp is like up now, and your blue is like respawning again. Like that should be, it should be you done all these camps, reset again, and then into your blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's respawning, not respawning blue as you're like walking towards wolves.
Yeah.
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 So the top play soaked up a lot of our time. The bot play I liked. The bot play was really good. Actually, massive play. And this is where, like, again, it's really awkward that we started on the bot side because you know how, like, it feels bad to be doing Gromp Wolves and then the second blue and then be stuck down here, you know?
Yeah.
Rather than, like, we're
Yeah.
up here, like, cleared all this and then it should be, we're just finishing this camp and we should be pinging 6 and then looking for a play bottom kind of thing.
For sure.
Rather than where we're at right now. Which is this
Yep.
kind of awkward limbo of like, I feel a need to, like, hang down here because if I don't, then they're going to get ganked or they're going to do dragon or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel the pressure of it staying down here right now. Like I totally see it on your screen of it would feel bad to go into your top camps right now. But it would be nice to be able to do them. Or it would be nice if they were done already, I guess is more what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Okay. Nice. Beauty.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you guys aren't doing dragon too.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago I would have done Dragon Jump.
That's okay. I think it's like obvious improvement already showing.
So why don't you like that we're doing Dragon there? Like almost just watching this replay now, I was like, why didn't I do Drag?
Okay. So if you guys hit right now, like instantly, right, before the HP drops again, then I'd be fine with it because you already have it like 2/3 of the way. But as HP resets here,
it's just too much time and
yeah, there's a lot of time before you're done this dragon, and what's gonna end up happening is Fiddlesticks is gonna respawn in 8 seconds. He's gonna have home guards because he died, so he's gonna run even faster. He's probably gonna get here around the same time you finish, and let's say you guys do finish it in time, right? And you successfully do it and you're able to back off in time. Even if that's the case, now your bot lane has to reset, and the wave is gonna be like coming back out this way, and you're going to be stuck on the top part of the map while they have to play like all the way up here while Fiddlesticks is level 6 and like, you know, playing down here with all his
yeah.
So it would feel really bad in the future, even though you're able to get the dragon. So if it's a situation like that where like even in the case where you get the dragon and it still feels bad, then you know, it kind of like tells me like I don't really want to be taking it right now. And then there's still like the chance that you guys don't do it fast enough, and then they get there and you have to fight them again, kind of thing. Which
and my top camps are still all up.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you guys didn't do it there. There's
you know,
opportunity for it later. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Like I've been doing that less. Like the early dragon, you know, after our coaching session, and I think it's been good. I haven't like. I don't know. It's hard to tell, right? For me, just like it's like how would this have gone? How would it have affected the game, etc.
It's almost like a chess, like studying lines in chess. You know, it's like you do it one way, and then the outcome of the game is completely different from the decision. Like, should I take dragon now or later, right? The outcome of the game is, and the whole like sequence of the game completely changes based on that one decision alone. So, yeah. There could be an opportunity topside here. Oh, also, I don't know if you know this, but the first Herald is always more worth than the first Dragon.
Yeah, I do know this.
Okay, yeah. Some people don't.
No, I love Herald.
Yeah, Herald is insanely OP, actually. The first one.
Yeah, you'll see here. I think we take tower with it.
So this was just a nice counter by Fiddle. I guess we saw him earlier.
Yeah,
Here, so maybe
well,
this just isn't our
to be honest, it was a long time ago. I did not expect him to be there still.
Yeah, we saw him like when you guys first did the
We saw him here when I was doing Scotto, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess he has to be like entering his topside camps now. So it's pretty like fair to assume that he's going to be pathing into the bot side. So I guess that makes sense going for the play. Because he does show up very delayed here. And there's a very good chance that he could just be farming in the bot side by now. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Here I would prefer you go topside actually, into your bot camp.
Yeah.
Because we would want to be like killing these and then like end up down here.
Yeah, you know what the problem was though is I left Herald for Cho'Gath, which I shouldn't have done. And so I was thinking Herald play top. Like I'm gonna help him play this Herald.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think you need to help him with the Herald. Because all you guys are going to do is he's going to place it and then he's going to get the plates. And even if you kill York, then you might get the tower. But I think the more important aspect is just to stick to the game plan, which is to get our bot mid ahead as much as we can. And get yourself ahead. And I think it's good that you cover mid though. It just feels like I would love for you to be like pathing towards bottom, and by the time you're finished, you're there for a bot play into like a dragon or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That would feel like much better than being stuck on the top
Much
side
better.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is an extremely scary situation for your bot lane. Either they have to concede this space or this tower if Fiddlesticks has ulti, or they just like lose dragon. But either way, it's not too fun to be Ezreal or Orianna, especially with their HP right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I recognize that.
This play might work though. Oh, does he die? Oh, he's such a shame. Oh, nice. Good save. Yeah, I guess your only option now is just to like shove this out as fast as you can and get the Herald into tower.
Herald, yeah.
Because one thing you need to note as well, especially as a jungler like Zach that can kind of secure these early Heralds, and you probably have I think it's safe to assume you have a good frequency of getting them first before the enemy jungler. Am I correct? Or is it pretty 50-50?
Herald. No, I probably get him more.
Yeah, I would say like you're probably by just watching you play too, I think you're good enough to usually get the first Herald as well. So one thing you should keep in mind is once this tower is gone, Cho'Gath can't actually play the game very well. This is very different to bot lane because what bot lane can do is if you get bot lane turret, then bot lane rotates mid and then mid rotates bottom and everyone's happy. But what happens if you kill top turret is this wave is going to start shoving out to here, and then now Cho'Gath can't safely walk up to his wave anymore. So he's just going to be twiddling his thumbs, like wondering what to do, especially if you take it too early into the game. So always be mindful of when you're taking top tower, is it going to do more harm than good? Because
so is that just Cho'Gath, or is that like just a general top thing?
Well, it's hard. It's a bit of both, I would say. If you have something like Alawi or Darius that can easily 1v2 the top laner and jungler when he's pushed up this far and exert a ton of pressure, like meaning they need more resources to deal with whoever is all the way up here, then it can be a good thing to take the tower. But in this case, when it's like something like Cho'Gath can't really safely walk up to here and take farm and do the things that he needs to do in lane without the threat of Zed or Fiddlesticks ganking him. So when you run into situations like this, just think about what top lane champ do I have and what top lane champ do they have, and if I take this tower, will this person be able to like play further than this line, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm wondering now if it seems like you guys will be able to actually successfully take this tower. And when you do, I'm kind of curious how Cho'Gath is going to play for the remainder of the next like 8 minutes or so until you guys start grouping and stuff. Because if these waves are going out to here, then like he's playing with fire for sure, having to go up that far. Where, like I said, I'll go back to what I was talking about before. If you're able to get ball lane turret, right, it's a completely different
Right, then they just switch, yeah.
Yeah, because they can easily push up to here with 2 people, and 2 people is a lot safer than 1, you know? And they can, like, do that and then rotate mid and start, like, looking at mid plays. But Cho'Gath can't really successfully push the wave up into tower by himself and then, like, go and make a play, right? It's kind of a different scenario for him, so...
Right.
And then now, like, as we talked about, like, bot lane is in such a hard situation here, right? Like, you really, really left them hanging by being in the top side of the map right now, since there's, like, a a real bloody scrap happening in the bot side right now to protect this tower and dragon. Cause,
I know. Yeah. You know, even as this was happening, I felt bad about it. I was like, fuck, this is, I mean, great that we got this tower, but this is not going well.
Yeah, because I'd almost argue, like, you almost need to, like, recall immediately after the gank and go bottom or something, because there's just too much bleeding bot side right now. And you're also have to think about when you go for a play like this and you have top camps up, you're also conceding these camps to Zed or Fiddlesticks as well. So you need to
I mean, I should have just recalled, yep.
Yeah. So it's nice
because also me hitting the tower is just useless. It's just like useless.
So now we're kind of like stuck on the top side because you know that there's nothing bot side now, right?
Yeah.
So just the line that we're on right now, it just feels hard to play the game the way you want to because you're just stuck being Cho'Gath's buddy when you don't really want to be, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of working out here though. You guys kind of outplayed them. But it does feel extremely awkward that we're stuck on the wrong side of the map at the moment. And it's, I don't want to say like no fault of your own, but right now there's like actually nothing you can do about it, you know? It's just you're stuck, you're locked into a situation.
Well, but the fault of my own, like I made a couple mistakes. One was on the first clear, which would have just changed everything, and 2 was I should have picked up Herald, and 3 was even if I didn't pick up Herald, you're right, I should have pathed top to bottom on the reset there.
Yeah.
So like once we killed Yorick, like that was probably the right play to get the tower. Although I should have recalled, but it was all the mistakes leading up to that.
Picking up on it much faster this time around, by the way. I'm really impressed. You're really on it. Because these things are extremely difficult to read in the moment while there's so much else going on. But it's
I think that one of like what I'm guilty of and what I can do better in the moment is sticking with the game plan, right? Like
you do seem
I kind of like
sidetracked a lot,
yeah, exactly. Or I get like I see an opportunistic play and I'll like make it like there top.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, first tower, right? But really, we've kind of just fucked ourselves.
Nice counter from Fiddlesticks. That was really clean, actually.
I don't know where he was.
He was in the bush. He was just waiting.
Yeah.
So one thing, always, just like as a rule of thumb as jungler, when you see a situation like this where these camps are down, but then you see these dots are up, then you can safely assume that Fiddlesticks is going to be in the bot side. I don't know if you could have necessarily predicted that he was perfectly, here for the counter gank. That was very impressive from Fiddlesticks. However, it is something to note when you see the map state like this. That's clean counter gank from Fiddlesticks. Wow. This is kind of like what I want you to be doing to him. You know what I mean? Where he goes in first, and then you're there second to like clean up the play, because you guys would be winning those every time. But this is also like another or just separate from what's going on here. See how we took the top turret and now Cho'Gath has, in his mind, nothing to do other than to take your camps. Because like the wave would be too far for him to walk up here. Because he like isn't a good enough player to know that Fiddlesticks is bot side right now. So in his mind, it's like, oh, if I walk up here, I could get like roamed on by Zed or ganked by Fiddlesticks. So
I mean, yeah, he
yeah,
could have done. I mean, he could have also gotten Herald with Fiddle down here with us.
yeah. So it's like
I guess he doesn't know yet that
he does.
Fiddle
Yeah,
is there
that's what I
though.
mean. He doesn't know where Fiddlesticks is. So in his mind, the only safe play for him to do is to take this camp because the turret's gone. Where typically
Right.
like when see how he crashed the wave right past the turret. So typically what would happen now is the wave would start like slow pushing
Bounce
down,
back, yeah.
and he's like happy with that situation. But now it's just like continues to go past the turret and he doesn't feel safe anymore. Yeah, this is a really tough game state for you guys to play out of now. But there's a lot of things we picked up on that we could have fixed in the earlier game to avoid a situation like this. So now when the game state is like this, and I'm sure you're going to run into game states like this where you're losing in the early game, but we want to prioritize placing defensive vision now, meaning we just want to be warding in our side of the jungle and not necessarily theirs anymore, and look for plays where they overextend and we're able to capitalize on that. Because you have Talon Zac, which is really good at like jumping over walls and getting on top of someone immediately. And what they're going to want to do now that they have towers is to shove these waves out and move into your jungle to secure those camps. And that's when you guys can look for plays rather than like forcing them out where they have an advantage, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, Jonah, sorry, say that all again.
Yeah, no worries. So when you're in a sort of a losing
So,
position
so
like
what?
this, right?
Actually, maybe let me say it back to you and make sure that I've understood it. So, when you're in a losing game state, you want to prioritize defensive vision,
Yeah.
and you want to wait for them to overcommit and make plays when they do. Basically that.
Yeah, so basically like this would have been good if you have the tower on your side, right? So when you're losing, you can no longer take 50-50 plays, meaning they're at a steady, like battlefield or playing field or whatever you want to call it to you guys, because most likely they're going to win those every single time if they're ahead. So you want to find opportunities where you gain an advantage that isn't necessarily gold related, right? Not itemized, not item related advantage. It's like a positional advantage, right?
Like numbers or position, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the kind of advantages that you guys need to fish for now because you no longer win the straight up 50-50 fights. So the best way to do that, especially as a champion like Zac, when you have talent and stuff on your team, is to simply like place vision on your side, and now you like concede this space, right? Meaning you let them get these towers and you let them push up this far. And when they do push up this far, that's when you look for opportunities. Like maybe if they continued this push, then they overextend to here with 3 people, and then you can look for the play, right? But instead, you guys decided to make your stand here, and making your stand here is a 50-50 play because the turret's no longer standing, so now it's just like an even team fight, right? It's a 3v3, or maybe even 3v4, we don't really know where Fiddlesticks is, where what you want to be doing is let them push up to here, maybe look for a play on that tower. If it's not there, okay, that's fine. But maybe they walk through your vision in your jungle, and you can look for picks as they're kind of have their guard down, walking through your jungle and stuff like that. And typically in those sort of situations is when they'll start to split up and make errors in terms of feeling safe when they shouldn't be, right? And Zac is the type of champion that can really capitalize on that because of how far his leap is, and he can jump on you from multiple different angles, and that's why I want to put an emphasis on placing defensive vision and finding our way back in the game through that method rather than taking these sort of fights.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Because you're no longer in a position where you can safely say like, oh, we're just going to continue to play the game the way, the normal way of like how you have been, and you guys are just going to somehow miraculously win. Like that's kind of foolish to think that way. You guys need to start thinking of like cutting losses in certain areas and then hoping to force errors and mistakes by making them overstep and stuff like this. And that's really the only way back into games like this.
Yeah. Jonah, should we watch another quick one?
Yeah, sure. Can I quickly just speedrun through? I'm just gonna do that. I don't think there's much else to talk about here. It seems like it's pretty lost, so. When the game states like this, there's just not much you can do anymore, other than what I just said. Yeah, that was so hard. Like, even in a situation like this, you guys are like fighting for the turret and stuff, but you guys should be like pinging back, and then, okay, like we can't make our stand here anymore, our stand should be like here, kind of thing. You just keep conceding the space until they like force an error on them. Because what might have happened is like they get overzealous and they take this tower and they're like, oh, we can take one more, you know? Like,
that happens all the time.
Yeah, like something like that, right? Like they don't really understand the tempo correctly, and then they overstep, and that's when you capitalize and look for a play back into the game. Rather than forcing these sort of points. Yeah. Okay, let's look at a different one. Do you want the lost game 2 or ahead but lost?
Maybe lost game 2.
Okay, let's do that.
Ahead but lost, I think, is I was up and then we lost the game. But that doesn't happen usually to me. Like, usually I will get behind and lose the game.
Right, yeah.
Although maybe this was... I actually think I got ahead here too. If this is the game I remember. Alright, wait, so let's do the thing again.
Yep.
So...
Tell me what you think.
Alright. So, here... there is definitely more gank setup bot than there was previous game.
Absolutely.
So I kind of like going bot. Whereas like top again, I'm happy to leave them on an island. Like Gwen can scale. I know, yeah, Gwen and Ornn are just like gonna scale. And also try not to get, but I don't know. I basically focus bot here is what I'm thinking.
One thing you need to be a little bit careful of this game is you have an extremely volatile mid matchup, meaning like either one of these can die in an instant. Talia lands 1 W on the Varus and he's dead. Varus lands 1 full combo on Talia and she can die in lane. So it's like really depends on, it's a skill matchup. Very much so in this game, and whoever is gaining priority, I almost said Riot. Graves is the type of champion that can move into your jungle and really mess with you, depending on mid priority. So be extremely mindful of is Varus able to move if Graves moves into my jungle here this game? Because if Talia is able to like push the Varus in and get him low, and then these two together can move into your jungle, you're gonna have a really hard time. So maybe just like keep that in the back of your head while you're playing as well, and just as best you can identify before the game when these sort of situations can happen, because you don't want to be just caught off guard by it just because you weren't thinking about it ahead of time. But yeah, I do agree. I think mid bot centric this game, absolutely. Level 6 you basically have a free kill mid. And bottom, the only thing you really like, they don't really have anything to disrupt you. You have really nice gank setup with Janna Tornado, so hopefully we see you start on red here and then path into the bot side. This is good. I think the one thing here maybe that we can just slightly change is as Zach versus Graves here. If Graves just starts on your blue, then it does suck because now you have to like vertical jungle, right? However, you can kind of have Janna sit there and determine if he's starting on your blue rather than committing a ward. What would be the scarier situation to come out of this is he doesn't start on his blue, but he starts on his red and then moves into
then invades me. Yeah,
that's the scary part, because if he with this ward, like by the time he shows up here, it's almost like too late, because you're gonna be like moving into there and you're like, oh shit, you know, like what do I do about that kind of thing? Where the thing to avoid that is you actually like ward up here in the river. That way, like you can see him moving in well ahead of time and then make your adjustment, 8 seconds ahead by like, oh, okay, I'll just move into his jungle. Or I'll go for mid gank or something instead. Rather than like by the time he shows up on you, it's too late. And if he starts on it, then that's just something like Janna can be watching for instead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, just think about that. This is a pretty Graves specific thing, because not many junglers can do this path where you start red and then you just E over the dragon wall and then straight into blue, right? There's very few champions that can do that, but Graves loves to do this, especially into a matchup like Zach where he knows he can.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the theory of it, but I understand that the ward placement was board placement could have been better.
That's good. The theory is more important than now you'll just like remember that the ward in the river is just slightly more beneficial because it's Graves. And you don't really care if he starts on the blue, but you care more if he's like moving into the blue after his red or after his bot camps. Oh, and then we see him now, right?
There he is. Yeah.
Where like we could have seen him, you know, maybe like 6 seconds before that. Just walking through river, and then that helps your team understand what to do too.
Yeah, I can't remember what he did here.
Yeah, this is a tough situation now. Because if we saw him, what would have like been the alternative is you would have been finishing your red, right?
Yeah, and then you just go directly to.
Yeah, and then you would be seeing him like maybe like around now, you would be seeing him in the river kind of thing.
Yeah, you can just jet. Yeah.
This changes things like completely because instead of moving into this, now you know, okay, like I can't do that. I have to like either gank mid or like go into this, or I like sprint bottom and contest it with my bot lane. But now it's gonna be a bit of a tricky situation actually because you're stuck into this like full clear path while he's on your blue.
There's no such thing as a full clear anymore.
That's true. Yeah, it's very hard to get a full clear.
I still think. Yeah. Kind of looking at this, I kind of wish I would have gone his blue, even after.
It's really tough now. Because now it's like scary to go to his blue. You don't really know if you recalled or not. Because there's the one where he recalls and then like sprints straight into his top side, to match you there. Okay, it seems like he's going for a blocking instead. Okay. Yeah, there's just like too many options for him to play with at the moment. That's really hard to predict what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
It looks like your bot lane's kind of like the 2v2 though. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it would have been huge if you're in his top side actually, in hindsight.
I know, I could have taken everything.
Yeah, that's a shame. Oh, but you might get rewarded with a little bit of a Brand kill here. Because at the same time, Brand is like not expecting you to be down here at all. I think there's a really good chance their team is like spam pinging that you're in the top side jungle, Or at least that's what I'd be doing if I was Graves, yeah. Okay. One more thing to note, when you do run into situations like this where the map is split, right? You have to understand that Graves is here, right? Somewhere. He's either one of two things. He's either still in your bot side camps or he's recalled and like sprinting top side, right? But either way, we don't want to take that bet. So here I would be like spam pinging your bot lane that Graves is still here.
Right.
Because these guys are playing like way too overzealous with the fact that they know that Graves is in your bot side jungle and he can easily just walk bottom right now.
I don't ping. I guess not. Yeah.
Because maybe this is like my selfish mid lane POV, but I find as jungle you have some of like the biggest downtime in the game, and because you're just like games, right? It's not like you're really like trading or you need to like hyper focus on what you're doing in the given moment. So
so you gotta pay attention to that and stuff.
Exactly. Like if you watch Varsity play, for example, he like pings so much that he runs out of pings. You know what I mean? Like like if you spam ping too much, like it starts to like meet your ping and ping for another 15 seconds. Like that's how much he pings his bot lane if they're about to get ganked, kind of thing, right? Like he has it like zero doubt that like this play is gonna happen, kind of thing, and it tends to like that kind of communication will go a long ways if you can start.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, how close is that? Oh, you still get her. No. Nice. That was just bad pathing from Varus. There's not much you can do about that. So now the timers on your camps are really awkward too, because you cleared the top camps the same time Graves cleared the bot camps, So they're all just gonna spawn at the same time too.
Jenna, I disconnected for 30 seconds.
Oh, no worries. Yep.
I didn't hear anything in the last 30 seconds.
Oh, no worries. I just said, basically the only, well, first off, I said nice play on the Talia for getting her. That was good. Like, I liked this. This is good. It was just bad pathing from Varus after this. Like, Varus basically has to just, concede this now. Like, maybe the only thing you could do here is, like, immediately W on him. Because I don't know if you know this about Graves, but he can only do damage to the person in front of him. Unless if it's with his Q or R and stuff like that.
Right.
His autos don't go through, so...
Right.
Maybe the only thing that you can do here is like you W in front of him and then like block autos for Varus.
W in front of him.
Yeah, so you like W in between these guys right now so that Graves can't auto attack the Varus.
You mean E, but I don't have my
Oh,
E.
sorry. Oh, yeah, never mind. Yeah, not your W. Yeah, it's basically down. So there's nothing you can do there. Yeah. No, you're completely right. It's your E, not your W. Oh, and then this, the only thing you missed is when you're walking towards the camps here, I said it's just really awkward now because Graves can like continue to like do your bot camps here, because they spawn at the same time as your top camps, so you're really susceptible to invades now since you need to respond to both of them at the same time. And that's what happens when the map is split. Since you cleared these top camps the same time Graves cleared these bot camps, so instead of like a steady, like I'm pathing into them as they're spawning, there's no way that he could be taking them. It's like this awkward crap, like my bot camps are up, Graves is going to be moving into them the same time that I want to be clearing my top camps. Just because of how the early game started.
I mean, I should have gone into his top jungle here, right?
Either that, or you actually could contest him on the bot side too, with Jhin and Janna maybe. Like you might be able to just meet him here at the camp and have the help of Jhin Janna to stop him, but probably the safer play is to actually go into the top camps, yeah. However, I don't even know if his top camps are up. I'd be really curious to watch like the full replay of this one, since there's a lot of like interesting vertical jungle pathing going on. Since if we like review what happened, right? At the very beginning of the game, you start here, and he starts here and here, right? That's like what he does. Meaning these camps haven't been touched yet. So these camps in the top side actually haven't been touched until...
I think he then goes bot directly again.
Yeah, they still haven't been taken. Yeah, so they just haven't been taken. This whole game these are up the entire time. So yeah, he's just heading straight into this. So yeah, you can take them. Yeah, because I was wondering if he had taken them at some point, they could just be down as well, right? Which is something we need to be aware of. If he didn't go for the mid play and he decided to farm his top camps, then it becomes really tricky because now these camps are down while these ones are up, and you're like stuck having to decide between, two options essentially. Yeah. Since you can't necessarily counter jungle. But yeah, here you have to go into his top side. It's like the only play to kind of counter what he's doing. But again, we're stuck in this kind of tough situation where although at the beginning of their game you identified that you want to strong side your bot lane, you can't really strong side your bot lane since you can barely be bot side since there's like no camps up there,
Right.
And Graves is in jungle. So you're kind of stuck in this like really tough like split map where you're stuck on Gwen Ornn and you don't want to be. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the Warden River actually might have made a big difference in that in the end.
Yeah.
Since you would have been able to just immediately move to his blue buff.
Varus does so much damage.
Yeah, he really does.
Varus mid is like really strong.
I don't play enough Zach to know this. When you don't use your W, how much is refunded? Or sorry, your E?
Half.
Half is refunded? So
Yeah.
what does that put it on? Like a
9.
9-second cooldown. Okay. Let me think about this. Because here, like, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it's like practically impossible to land this E right now,
Yeah.
However, you do have the wave on your side, meaning, like, you see how many minions are, like, Varus has. So this is almost guaranteed to crash,
Right.
without your help. So I think the play actually might be to dive her on the crash
Right.
rather than
Right.
look for this one. So what you could do is
Right.
you wrap around like this wall here, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
lucky
Yeah.
because Varus gets a really nice trade-off here. You're gonna see like how low he actually gets her. And this is like without any help from you. So if he gets her to this HP and then crashes the wave in, then you can like easily dive her.
They dive easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then
Yeah.
on
This
top of
was
that, yeah, after the dive, you can then like take all his top camps and then look for something top with Ornn and Gwen, right? And maybe do the same thing
Yeah.
and see how Gwen is shoving in this wave right now. Maybe there's a dive top after as well.
Yeah. This whole sequence was awkward.
Yeah, because right now there's nothing. Oh, and Graves is on you. Yeah. There's like this space is no longer yours. You've basically conceded the bot lane when you decided to like path into here, right?
Yeah.
You can no longer save the bot lane anymore. It's just not in your power. So you need to look for something elsewhere. And the map is very, very split right now. So this is like completely their side, right? Oh, this is wrong color. This is like their territory now, where this should be like your territory kind of thing. Rather than the
Yeah.
traditional like, it's split like this way kind of thing. Where it's like, this is your side and this is his side. Like it's no longer like that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we just need to be thinking about how much we can get out of this top side and just completely abandon bot in this state. And Jin and Janna aren't going to be too happy about it, but that's just, unfortunately the state of the game that we're find ourselves in now. So I think the most optimal way to be doing that is by looking for these nice dives as the big waves are crashing and to be counter jungling his top side.
Yep.
You can put a lot of pressure on the Talia and Ornn by doing that. It makes it really hard for them to play. And although it's not as nice as maybe getting your bot side ahead, it is still like pretty good. Since Jin and Janna are really safe champions, Janna especially can really peel any sort of Graves gank from happening. So I don't think they would necessarily die, but they would just probably be down in farm and dragon and stuff like that.
Right.
And then they're like kind of okay with that game state, where something like Ornn and Talia with the presence that you have, you could be really, really punishing and getting those matchups ahead.
Yeah.
Because here we're just in our bot side and there's like no camps up, and we're just gonna be twiddling our thumbs with nothing to do. Oh!
Got him.
I'm surprised. Did you knock him into tower? Did you see that? Like how close?
Did I knock him in, or did he walk in?
I don't know. See what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like kind of weird because he wasn't taking any aggro from that position, and then when your W landed, he started taking aggro all of a sudden. That was really cool.
My E.
Yeah. Nice. So you're kind of finding these ganks by chance now, which is good, but it's not necessarily like a how do I put this? Like an organized game plan. It's just kind of like running around and like hoping that they
Yeah, like
a mistake.
right, exactly.
So it's good that we're able to get those ganks off. That was some awkward timing.
Yep.
Not much you can do about that. So they seem to get out. Okay. So, if you get to watch this again, what do you think you could be doing here now?
Here?
Yeah. You might be also making, if you're fine with your play too, you should be confident and say why you're doing this play or going for your play. I'm just curious to have your take now.
No, I fucked up. I should back and clear down.
Okay. I think
Because
okay, but I was curious what you think. Yeah.
because like I'm not gonna take drag now because like bot needs to reset. They just got kills. And so like basically they're looking to push the wave in and then reset. And if I reset clear down to them, they will be like coming back, I'll be there, and then we can like fight and take drag.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too, in the current game state, because I'm wondering like when I take this blue, Let's actually see what happens when you take blue ground. It's nice because it denies it from Graves. That was the one thing I was going to mention. Because Graves has been consistently taking these camps, you do deny it from
Right.
them, but then now they're split bottom without your help, and then Graves is going to be able to potentially do dragon or pressure here, which maybe you couldn't do. Yeah, here I think you just have to recall. Maybe going for these camps were fine as long as you recall like immediately now. But ideally, I think as well, maybe pathing into the bot side was a bit cleaner. So I don't think Graves goes for it. He seems to be going for mid play here.
An ally has been slain.
This is free.
Zach is OP or what?
I mean, what is that, dude? I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a great play.
One-shotting them. What? Zach is so OP.
I mean, with two like immobile.
Yeah. I love it.
Two immobile dudes sat under tower is like perfect situation. Was this ahead but lost? No, this because here we're clearly ahead right now.
Yep. So I guess you made the correct play in the end. As long as, but I guess it was only the correct play if you're thinking about them pushing up to tower and making this play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I was thinking about them pushing up to tower when I took blue, but then when I saw my bot back, I knew I was going to have a tower play.
Right.
I mean, I love these tower plays, right?
Yeah,
like this is just so ideal for me. Now I need a back.
You guys can do dragon here. I think it's actually okay if you guys do dragon. Mainly because bot lane doesn't need to reset after this now. Right? They just came back off reset, so...
And Graves is dead.
Yeah, and Graves is dead, so this is actually a good time to take dragon. It just, like, it feels weird because you have, like, 2.7k. That's just because you, like, just double killed bot lane, and then you killed mid lane, and then you shoved it all the way out. Like, you've been making plays for quite a while now, so... I'm hoping to see you recall now, hopefully, instead of take the wolves. We love it!
Love it!
Yes, I swear last time we would have taken wolves.
Yeah, probably. But this is also a really nice back.
Yeah.
A summoner has reconnected.
Beauty.
How do we lose this game, Jonah?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know either. Could it be here?
It's a little bit forced, yeah. Oh, it's pretty forced, yeah.
Oh, right. This is when fucking Varus was pinging that he was coming.
Ooh, yeah, because this is a... When you're... where is it? When you have a 500 gold shutdown, especially as a tank champion, you need to be so careful who you give this 500 gold to. Because if it goes on to a champion like Graves or Talia or Caitlyn, it can completely swing the game. Because 500 gold on those champions, unfortunately, is a lot more valuable than 500 gold on a Zac, right? It's just like the nature of the champions. So when you go for plays, you have to be extra considerate about, okay, am I at risk of giving a massive shutdown here, you know?
Yeah.
Because we went into this knowing it's a 2v3, and we like commit our flash and everything to it, and we seem...
Yeah.
Like,
I felt so strong with ult and passive and flash and...
Oh, that is just such a big swing now though.
Yeah.
Varus bad pings. Yeah. I think Varus was almost always too far to come though. If we want.
Yeah, I guess I thought like with my passive.
Yeah.
I mean that happens a lot in my games, right? Where I will die, but then somebody will clean up, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was what was happening here.
Because if Baron, even if he comes now and he like commits all the way, I don't think he gets here quite on time. Maybe actually. If he like keeps walking, will he get there? It would be close, I'll give you that actually. I think he might be able to at least clean up.
I mean, he also one-shots. He one-shots both Graves and...
he should be able to clean this up. He should have continued. But maybe...
But anyway, I mean,
this much either at the same time.
Yeah, I just fucked up. I mean, also, like, my second Q... I thought I had my Q. I thought I was gonna proc my second Q there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a bad...
Because I see like what you're going for here. If you're able to get the double Q on Graves to Leah and then you ult them, you might actually just be able to kill them yourself. But I think you used Q on Ornn here, which is a mistake.
Yeah, and then I procced it. I didn't realize that I procced it.
Yeah, and then you procced the minion. Where if you actually like got the Q on
the second Q on somebody else, yeah.
Or even like Q1 on here, Q2 on here, bash these two together and then ult between. I'm pretty sure you kill. It's just unfortunate.
Ugly.
I see what you were going for there. It's a bit of a high risk play, and I think the more important thing is we just need to understand that there's no rush here if Varus is coming.
Yeah.
Probably more damage than you were expecting to.
Yep.
I don't know if I would have done
It's my E, the one that jumps.
Oh yeah, I keep saying W, huh? Why do I keep saying that? You've been playing where's that?
Oh god.
Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is, just from like the initial play back here, is you seem like you're under a lot of stress to make something happen because you're ahead. But I want you to first off like understand, if you're ahead on Zac, it's great, but then you're typically still gonna need the assistance
somebody else, yeah,
to like make these plays happen. And when
for sure,
else, he's like unstoppable, right? That's when you feel the strongest. So it seems like you're kind of putting the onus on yourself to like carry this and make something happen, and you're overforcing the plays that don't need to be overforced. When these plays will come to you when you're this far ahead, so you don't need to like make them happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if we're playing alongside our Varus, alongside our bot lane right now, there's just like no way of losing. But when we go for like these sort of like more dicey plays, then you find yourself in tricky situations where you're just overextended like this. And then now your team, like your entire team had to come to you, right? Instead of you coming to your team. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So ideally you want to be the one playing around your team. And when you do stuff like this, then now your entire team is like kind of pulled and forced to come to you. And we're going to see like just how much of a tricky situation we're put in, because we already see like 3 people on the map here. We know 2 people are up here. Jin is like all the way down bot side. Gwen is super far away. So there's no number.
Too much.
Yeah, it's just too much. And I know you want to like get your play back because of like you just gave a shutdown, so you feel like you need to do something right away. But we can be a little bit more patient and take our time with it. Because here you're just like, mostly baiting your team into. Yeah, that turns out to be really, really bad actually.
Yep.
So I think that's a big one maybe. When you're ahead, like, be the one that plays around your team and make plays that way rather than like having them pull towards you.
Yeah.
It'll make a big difference. Like a play like this would feel so nice if all that other stuff didn't just happen right now, you know?
Right, yeah.
They wouldn't be able to like contest them at all. They can't even walk to them or anything. And that's like the type of plays that you want to be like orchestrating, you know? These plays that you're the one in control, you decide what's happening rather than just reactively, I'm going to go to this because it looks nice kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
A more consistent way of winning while ahead. These fights are so hard now, too. Oh, nice knee. Oh, no. So sad.
Yeah, I mean, this is how we lose.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay. If I'm being honest, I run into... This is one of my bigger problems as a player. Like what you're dealing with right now. I, for the longest time, had a really bad tendency of throwing my leads away by forcing my team into positions that they just simply can't. Like help me in, yeah. And I think
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
if you run into this very often. Would you say it's a common
yeah,
thing for you?
no, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm
You're a
usually
player.
like super patient and like I'm
Absolutely.
like very boring.
Yeah, it's good to be boring.
Uh,
Like
like
that's what I've
I had a
gathered
game
from playing
yesterday
against you so
when
far. Yeah.
where everybody was calling me boring because I was like, all right, drag, and now Baron, and we were up like 26-3, and they
Yeah.
were like, can we just end, please?
Yeah. But unfortunately, like
Uh,
playing the game the boring way is
you know,
something
you know what, Jonah? Actually, this is a good reflection. I think that like, I mean, I haven't had a good week,
Mhm,
right? I think I'm like barely 50, or maybe even below 50% this week,
mhm.
and I think that when I'm when I'm doing well and I'm on a win streak and I'm playing my best, I think it's really easy for me to be patient. When I'm
Yeah.
not when like in a macro sense I'm not playing as well,
Mhm.
I think I try to do too much in individual games, and like so like if this were like game 5 of a win streak, I probably don't throw
Yeah,
like that,
throw it
right?
away like that, yeah.
But I think I put pressure on myself when it's not going as well to like make plays and close the game out.
Yeah. That's very common actually. You bring up such a good point. Yeah. Um,
you know, that's probably like I sent you my game history
mhm.
this week, and I think that that's a lot of it. Where like the games that I'm winning, I'm like 11-0,
Yeah.
hard carry,
Yeah, you don't force
and then
yourself into anything,
but
yeah.
I'm still losing a lot of games, and it's probably because I'm trying to make too much happen in the games instead of just letting the game come to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make for a pretty interesting game now though. I must say, you guys are really gonna have to fight for your lives here. Oh, nice play. You actually got the Q off onto the war. That's so impressive. Oh, Gwen. Okay. Okay. Let's rewatch this. Um, this is very. I don't expect you to do this, but I just want to like raise awareness for it, just so it's something to think about in your future games.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in position like this, especially when you're playing a champ like Zach, Zach has amazing peel, right? Like the fact that he can like knock people up and knock them away with
Yep,
R, like he can
for
really
sure.
sit on your carries and like make it extremely hard for people to kill the carries when there's a Zac in the way. So when you're in situations like this and you're now the one who's like a bit lower HP, like no passive, you can't fully like dive the backline the way you want to,
Hmm.
start putting a more like defensive mindset in the team fight, where now your onus should be more about like, okay, we picked off the Brandon Talia, right? Now let's focus on like peeling back on these guys and making sure that like they're in a position where they can fight and play the game. Because when you go up like this, right? Um, See how you're like forcing this up here? This means they
Yeah.
have to like
Yeah.
funnel in and walk through this way now too. Like they have to follow with you, right? Otherwise you're just gonna like die 2v1. So now you're like kind of pushing them up into a spot where it's not necessarily safe for them. And Janna and Jin are positioned in a spot where they're like really susceptible to dying to Graves. Where if you guys are a little bit more patient here, you guys can play together, right?
Right.
And you can be
Yeah.
like playing with these people and like either like play on the graves or like play together and like be patient and like help these guys move up so that they can like help you kill the Caitlyn. Um, because here like
Yeah. I
see
mean,
how
that
this
that
guy's like
was.
stuck on the wrong and Jin's like stuck on the other side. He can't like help or contribute at all either. So because it would be nice if we're just like amongst these guys being able to like help the Jin with the graves and like being able to
Hmm.
stop the Janna from being one shot and stuff like this rather than like diving in and like forcing your team to come with you on an awkward angle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want you to be thinking about like ways to utilize like when to dive, when versus when to play more defensive and peel the carries. Especially in an advantageous situation like that where you guys were actually winning the fight, but then um, had to throw the fight away because we stepped up too far.
Yeah.
Nice, it worked. Yeah, just something to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's a theme.
Mm-hmm.
That's a theme that I just wasn't very patient this game.
Mm-hmm. What happens here? Well, how did you even get that far? What? Hold on. Did they just concede the space? Okay, reward. Okay. Nice. Ah, that's a shame. This is like another. I mean, honestly, I didn't really see Varus dying here, so I don't blame you for going for the W on Talia. This is like another situation where you like pull Varus in this way, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then he like ends up getting one shot because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, fair to say. They weren't on vision,
I
so
should
yeah.
I should have used my ult on Talia.
Mm-hmm.
We could have like one shot her and
Yeah,
then
one
moved
shot
on
and
with
moved on.
life.
Yeah. Because you're the line of your team right now. So let's see this, right? So this is something pretty important. So right now the line of your team is like here, right?
Hmm.
The wave is like coming this way, your team is like standing here, and your Gwen is like positioning her wave up here. So here you're kind of like behind enemy lines in a sense. So you need the play to work. Because it's a much different story, right? Like if the wave is all the way up here and you have Jin and Janna standing here as well, then the outcome is completely different. But when you're behind, or sorry, when you're past the line here, and you're
Right.
forcing
Right.
this, then now they also have to cross the line of safety in order to help you in the play.
Right. Right. Right.
So it's
Right.
just
So it
another
has to
like,
just be like super quick. I mean,
yeah, exactly, yeah. So when you're behind the safety line like that, then it needs to be like a quick boom, one shot where and then we're out kind of thing, rather than
yeah.
your team having to like hike all the way over in order to join the play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Um, oh no, Jenna. Wonder if. There's not much you can do about that. I was gonna say like maybe we just hit the that thing now before the Janna walks in, but she just starts pathing in by herself, so you can't really mind control her into waiting on that. I Here you guys kind of just need to concede the dragon. I think if you fight, like here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, we just have to give here.
Yeah, because the bigger thing is like, okay, they get dragon, but if you guys lose this fight, they get Baron 2 and probably end the game, right? Or like put themselves in a position where they can end the game. And it would be like hard to stop them from closing out, so yeah. I think the bigger picture here should be thinking about what happens if we lose this fight and they get Baron as well, rather than forcing the hard 45. Although...
Yeah.
Yeah, and you especially, more than anyone else, needs to survive this, because you're the one with Smite up for Baron. Okay. Do they do Baron now? Ah, shame. Yeah, because we could have just lost Janna, lost Dragon, and then been controlling Baron space. Because what you can do in situations like this, actually, this is really good to note, is when you lose the Janna like this, right? If you can immediately identify, okay, this fight's lost, like, let's give up the Dragon, what you guys can do is you can start pushing out mid and then set up the vision for Baron.
Right.
So it makes it really hard for them to come in now, right?
Right.
You just start playing towards that because you know the next major team fight after this Dragon is going to be for the Baron. So you guys can put yourself in a really advantageous situation of them like walking through all your vision. We talked about this a little bit last time, but you can
for sure.
now. Yeah, you just start setting that up now and then look for that play next rather than forcing the hard 4v5. Yeah. Although maybe if you like are flashed in, there's like a possibility.
I know.
But it's still like it's not really like the more high percentage play.
Yeah.
Because now it feels extra bad because now we lose Baron on top of it. And you're gonna have to just turtle now. You're probably gonna end up losing some of your camps because they have Baron and can push out. Oh, okay.
Ornn never dies.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to kill the Ornn. He's a tanky guy.
He seems like a good champ, man.
He's an amazing champ. As a coach, he was probably my favorite top laner. Like I'm talking about like, competitively. Like I picked Ornn so many times for our top laner. Just such a solid pick. So strong on the weak side, like being able to have no resources and just chill on his own. Almost like no champion does it better than Ornn, and he can provide so much later on in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, this was a really good game to review. I'm really glad we did that.
Yeah, it was a good one. These both were good games. Oh, jeez. Okay, great.
I think one of the takeaways to just understand when you're in a position of power, you don't need to be taking the 50-50 fights.
Yeah. Exactly.
On top,
Yeah. No, that was that was unfortunate. No, I didn't as I said, usually I play better than that. I'm like just watching myself in this replay, just like watching myself go for too much.
Yeah. Do you ever VOD review your own games? Or
Yeah, I do, but not very often. Like, I probably will do like 1 in 20 games I might review.
That's not too bad though. That's better than most people do, because that's the way I improved the most, by simply just watching my games and then starting to slowly understand like what I'm doing wrong and areas I can improve on.
Yeah, I mean it's hard without somebody telling you what you're doing wrong.
That's certainly true, but I still think there's stuff like immediate things that you can pick up on, you know, without.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got my biggest like league spike was when I did right at the beginning of the year I reviewed every death and like it only took like a week, but I reviewed every death in a week and I was just like, oh man, I'm fucking making the same mistakes over and over again, dude.
Well, that's a fantastic exercise, actually. Never thought.
And I mean, that also taught me to be a lot more patient. I mean, like I don't die as much. That like if you look at my stats, I just like never die really.
Yeah, that was the thing I was really impressed about you. initially when we were doing reviews last time, is when you're winning, you close them out really nicely and you don't throw it away, and you have extremely good patience for that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's your strength.
But yeah, man. Okay, well, this has been great, Jonah. Thank you. I'm
Thank you.
excited to put this into practice.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to pay you for your time.
Oh, well, you can, but how about we set up a call for Gigi and we'll talk about that, and then that way you don't have to worry about pay. We could think about maybe some ways where instead of like paying, maybe you could like help us do some work for Gigi and trade time that way. Rather than just having
Sure. I mean, whatever. I would like to do that anyway. Help with GG. But we can certainly talk about it in the next time we talk. But it like this has been incredible. I mean, I've had like a number of people reach out to me and give me coaching from TikTok. But your coaching is very good, Jonah. You're on a different level of coaching, it appears to me.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Great. Thank you. I'm gonna go like I don't know, take a shower or something, decompress a little bit. Thank you, bro. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah, have a great rest of your day. I appreciate these sessions.
Yeah. Cheers, my man.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.